Animes are Japanese cartoons. Anime are often bizarre. This year's theme for History Day is rights and responsibilities, so I'm going to show you what happens to animes when they cross overseas and get dubbed in the US. What dubbing companies have the responsibility to change, and whether or not they have the right to change certain things. Thus, my thesis for History Day is the question, do the companies that dub animes have the right to change them just so they can be shown to children? First of all, you have to understand that when dubbing companies dub or edit animes, they consider them to be cartoons, and by some unwritten American law, anything animated is for children.
Where do these guys get all their ideas?
In order to be shown to children, anime must be edited. There are two ratings for programming that is considered suitable for the viewing of a young audience. The first is TVY. TVY means the program is designed for all children, and it wouldn't scare any especially young kids. The other rating is TVY 7. This indicates that the content of a show is more for kids 7 years old and above. Apparently, this means that to watch a Y7 program, children need to be old enough to tell the difference between fantasy and real life. Shows with what programmers call fantasy violence are still in this category, but an FV is often added to the TVY 7. This brings me to my first point, what dubbing companies have the responsibility to change. They have to either edit or cut out any scenes containing nudity of any kind. One example of this is the transform sequences in the anime Sailor Moon. In the original Japanese version, there are a few defining lines on their bodies during this sequence. In the American dubbed version, these lines are edited so the character is less defined. Several instances in the anime Dragon Ball Z show partially nude characters. As you probably noticed, the two wiggling objects, the tree and the rock, were added in by an editor. Extreme blood and violence also cannot be shown on children's television. Probably the most neurotic dubbing company on this subject is Funimation, the company that dubs Dragon Ball Z. Several instances are skipping a scene where a child was hit, cutting a scene where someone was cut in half, coughing up large amounts of blood, etc. Foul language is the third major thing that has to be taken care of. This isn't as much of a problem, of course, because the animes are being dubbed anyways. The question is often what dialogue to replace instances of swearing with. Sometimes characters will end up saying something seemingly random.
Shame on you.
And then there's fake swearing.
Darn him! Curse him! Curse that thing! Darn! Darn it! Darn it! Darn it!
Darn it. Darn it.
Great galaxy! My gosh! Rats! Shoot! Shoot!
Shoot.
Oh! Holy cosmos! Look at that thing!
Mildly exaggerated, but it fills space. Two less obvious things that dubbing companies are required to edit are drinking and smoking. One anime refers to sake, rice wine, as tea. It's not tea. Once in Sailor Moon, the main character became drunk, and another character commented, "I think you've had enough juice." In Dragon Ball Z, the dubbing company often uses their unique editing skills to silently adjust the situation. This includes making beer blue, and making a sign that once said beer say root beer.
Gorgonzola cheese and the world's finest fruit juice.
On to my second point, what dubbing companies have or don't have the right to change. Sometimes dialogue is changed to make the characters sound cool.
Whoa. Mondo cool.
That's right, boys. Mondo cool.
During the earlier part of the series Dragon Ball Z, they try and get around saying anyone died. One of their favorite excuses is,
Goku's trapped in another dimension.
Maybe you won't be such a disappointment in the next dimension.
Adversaries which managed to succeed in transporting Yamcha into another dimension.
but they had other ways.
That area may have been evacuated. has been destroyed through unknown means. Fortunately, the area was abandoned at the time.
One is loaded. Got it. Hey, Mike, we got it. Wow, this is the big one.
It's your 5 seconds of fame.
Look, I can see their parachutes. They're okay.
In Sailor Moon, attack names undergo some changes.
Mars Celestial Fire!
In the Japanese version, the attack names are even said in English. Often things are changed for cultural differences. Things like mentioning familiar Japanese fairy tales like the bamboo cutter.
僕はその物語に出てくるかぐや姫のような存在が月にいるような気がしてならないんだ。
I've believed there was a princess on the moon since I was a child. What do you think, Luna? Do I sound crazy for thinking there's some mysterious
Now he doesn't
life
seem
force on the
serious.
moon?
There's one scene in which a character is eating a live crab that was cut out of the American version. In Sailor Moon, there's the last and strangest change in this video. In the American dub, they pretended a homosexual male was a woman. In other cultures, homosexuality is acceptable. In the US, we say it is, but it isn't really. If you'll notice, it's easy to see he's male because of his build. The difference is clear. That pretty much wraps it up for changes. Next time you see an anime on a kids' network, you might want to look for anything conspicuous.
I was looking for this.
No matter how much they're changed, though, rest assured in the original, they were just as bizarre.
Sheena, get in the glowing green square.